African American and white.
I'm multiracial, African American mother, and I have a Mexican father.
I am Black and Cambodian.
It's not that I feel more comfortable with one race than the other, but the fact that society sees me as being African American.
Well, I grew up around my Cambodian side more, so I guess you could say I'm more comfortable with that. But I don't feel like I'm just Cambodian, because I can't just say I'm Cambodian, because I am Black too. So when people ask me, I just say I'm mixed.
Well, I used to be confused about how to identify myself, but as I got older, I accept that I'm multiracial, and so I don't choose one race. I'm definitely more comfortable with my Black identity because I grew up with my mom's side of the family, and on top of that, when I got older, I learned about the African diaspora. And what the diaspora is the fact that Africans were taken all over the world during the slave trade. So you have Africans in almost every country. And so that means there's Africans who look like me, who are lighter than me, who are darker than me, who speak all different languages. So now I like to identify as Black because even though other people don't know it, being Black to me includes those things. It includes being a race of people who are very mixed and who speak every language under the sun.
I will identify myself as a mixed person. I don't have no preference against any race. Like, it's better to be with a lot of different races because you get to learn a lot of stuff, like new things.
Well, when they say Asian, they think of just Chinese, but they also be saying dog eater and stuff like that.
Well, some days they say I'm doing something because I'm white, and other days they say I'm doing it because I'm Black.
Being called a wetback, I didn't really feel that I was deserved to call that because people don't actually know if you're a wetback or not. Like, I could be born here and they shouldn't be talking like that.
At my high school in LA, there were a lot of conflicts between the Black and brown students, and lots of students would confront me, like students that I didn't even know would confront me and ask me they would demand to know what my race was. So they would say, "What are you?" And I used to feel like they looked down on me because they couldn't tell what my race was. And the Black students would say that I wasn't Black, and the Mexican students would say that I wasn't Mexican. So I used to feel when I was in high school that I was left out. And then when I got to college, it was totally opposite experience because that was the first time I had ever been around white students, and a lot of the white students had never been around students of color. So that's when I felt like I dealt with hatred because sometimes you know, I wasn't invited to parties and things like that, but it wasn't because I was multiracial, it was because I was not white. So then it was different because then the white students didn't really care that I was mixed, they just assumed that I was Black or that I was just different from them, so it didn't matter.
My role model is my teacher, Miss V, because she is Black and Mexican, and she's like a strong person, and she doesn't feel like she's just Mexican or just Black. You know, she's strong and she's proud of her race.
Martin Luther King Jr. Because, like, he didn't care if he was Black, he wanted everybody to be treated equal. And that's important because at the past time, like, there was only, like, white people were only the better, like, you could say the better people, and he didn't want it that way. So that's like a good people to look up to.
When I was little, I used to look up to Felicia Rashad. She was like this beautiful Black lady, and she was really successful, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be just like her. So for me, I always just looked up to women of color. They didn't have to be mixed. When I was younger, it used to be a big deal to me, like what boxes they checked off. And a lot of times when I was younger, like a teenager, and I had to check boxes, it was always like you had to pick one. You could never pick both. And that used to make me upset. And so sometimes I used to check other and explain it. But now, I wouldn't say I don't care, it's just not as much of an issue for me. Right now, I think it would be more important that we were working harder as a society to end poverty and racism.
I I don't think color matters because we're all humans, and just because we're different color doesn't mean anything.
It shouldn't matter. No matter what. No matter what, it shouldn't matter.
I know that if I was only one race, I wouldn't be as open-minded as I am.